You can add up a whole list of things that the new Porsche Cayenne is. First of all, it's expensive. Has to be, it's a Porsche. Second of all, it's very capable, as we found out in our winter driving test. Third of all, it's very competent at what it does off-road. Now, I imagine about 95% of these things never see anything like off-road, so it's good to know that. And the last thing is, it's a Porsche, so it's fast and it's fun to drive. We love driving it in Muskoka. Take a look at this.
Take a chance, love is worth 10 lost romances if you can find it at last. Years gone by and still you are my favorite. We can add a future to our past.
This is a brand new Cayenne. There's two things that I like most about it. First of all, it is no longer as ugly as the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life. It looks more form and function. I think the old Cayenne was meant to look something along the lines of a 911. And you can't take an SUV and make it look like a 911, and there's no point of even trying. But this new iteration of the Cayenne is a much better looking vehicle. The second thing I like about it is it's not quite as tough, not quite as heavily sprung as the first iteration of the Cayenne. So it makes for a very nice station wagon, not just a nice truck. You're buying it for its high level of competence. There's no getting around that. As we drive around these cottage roads in Muskoka, we can go alarmingly fast, surprisingly fast too. The speed kind of sneaks up on you. For example, I'm on an 80-kilometer-an-hour road here. I've seen several instances where I'm touching 130. That's enough to get your license taken away in this province. And it does it with no effort whatsoever. You'd think that going 50 kilometers an hour over the speed limit on a twisty road like this would cause some alarm in the old head. But the car's so good that you don't seem like you're going that fast. You need to be hauling the mail in this thing, pouring the coal to it, coming out of the corners. Even Porsche's Cayenne probably was going to do a lot better job for the visceral driving experience that we all seek on a racetrack. And when you say the best way to use any manufacturer's SUV is on the racetrack, you're saying one hell of a lot. Porsche's proprietary name for traction control is called PSM, or Porsche Stability Management. And it can be intrusive on a track like this, and it uses about 4 different phases. First is yaw control. Well, yaw control really doesn't come into play here that much, but if you went into a spin on a highway, it would actually start to do some steering input and tighten up individual brakes to try to get the car to go straight. Then there's the use of the brakes, generally speaking. You can tighten up the inside brake here and actually stop the back end from going that way. Then, of course, there's the power cut, or throttle control. So if it senses that you're in trouble, if the steering wheel angle doesn't match up with the wheel speed, and of course, according to its program, it'll cut the power so that you can't get yourself into trouble. And then, of course, there's torque split, moving the power from the front wheels to the rear wheels. All of this, according to the program, will actually keep you out of the fence. And of course, here on this trail, we're using an extreme example so as to demonstrate the fact that all of these controls left on will keep you safer on the road. I'll now turn the traction control off and see where that gets me. You can hear the ABS engaging, but I've got full steering control with ABS. That's very important on a downhill grade. I can also use the function in the Porsche to actually go to low range, and that'll use the engine to brake me down the hill. Now we go into our fast right-hander, traction control off, and we nail the throttle, back end sticks out, and we go like a bag of hammers. As you can see, I'm having to do a lot more steering input with the traction control off, which frankly is one hell of a lot of fun, but not the safest way to go. Steering with the rear wheels, tossing it around so that I don't have to input as much steering wheel angle, and then working on the slide a little bit to steer it. So I'm having fun, or at least I'm told this is fun. But I'll tell you, the propensity for me to stick this thing in the fence is way higher with the traction control off. So I'm turning it back on because it's a $100,000 car and it doesn't belong to me. So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, do you need a car like this? Well, of course you don't. It's a $100,000 SUV. But do you want a car like this? You know, after living with this car for about a week, taking it off-road and bombing around these cottage roads here in Muskoka, yeah, baby, I want a car just like this. Except I'll take mine in red.